a potential slaughter of Christians and Kurds, and ISIS could rise again. That's the warning of what soon could happen in Syria.
Meanwhile, the United Nations is putting more pressure on Israel over aid to the Palestinians and its actions against the United Nations Relief and Works Agency. Julie Stahl brings us the story from Jerusalem.
New pressure on Israel from the United Nations as it passed a resolution pushed by Norway asking the International Court of Justice to decide if Israel is obligated to support aid groups like UNRWA in Gaza. This comes as Israel banned UNRWA because some of its staff took part in the brutal October 7th attack on the Jewish nation. Norway believes Israel must let UNRWA do its work in Gaza.
Israel, under international law, has an obligation to provide assistance, to collaborate with all those entities, the UN, humanitarian organizations, and third states, and let them help those who are suffering.
The ICJ's opinion won't be binding on Israel, but it could increase international pressure on the Jewish state. The resolution added to the UN's record this year of voting against Israel nearly 3 times as often as all other countries combined. The group, UN Watch, pointed out that the world body overlooked evidence that UNRWA has been complicit with Hamas. And while the UN is focused on Israel, Syrians are uncovering atrocities committed by the Assad regime. Syrians are digging up mass graves that may hold more than 100,000 tortured and slain victims.
We've documented this crime occurred. We documented from satellite imagery and from witness testimony that the bodies were buried in trenches.
You can see the corpses of our relatives. We had hoped to find them in prison, but we didn't find anyone, and it broke our hearts. They were burned alive here after being doused in fuel.
Some of them were killed by burning, others by shooting. One was hung by a rope. There were executions by shooting in the head, in the eye. Also, some were burned.
Concern is also rising about Turkey's Syrian proxies attacking the Kurds in northeast Syria. That could lead to a massacre of the U.S.-backed Kurds and their Christian allies, and possibly set thousands of imprisoned ISIS terrorists free.
Those Kurds who have been financed by the United States, who are American allies and have been for decades, those Kurds are protecting prison camps where there are an estimated 45,000 to 50,000 ISIS fighters and their families.
The U.S. has troops on the ground to fight ISIS, but only a couple of thousand, so the U.S. is concentrating on what it can do diplomatically. However, Dave Eubank of the Free Burma Rangers worries what will happen if the U.S. can't get Turkey to call off its proxies.
There will be a great slaughter, not just of Kurds, but of Christians and anybody who opposes these Islamic radicals in northeast Syria. ISIS will rise again right now, and we will lose one of the few allies we have in the region.
Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Well, the double standard at the UN never ceases to amaze me. Here you have an active genocide going on where Turkey and their proxies are trying to eliminate the Kurds from northern Syria. In Armenia, the ongoing violence there, the attacks from Azerbaijan, the historical attacks from Turkey, the genocide that occurred 100 years ago, and where is the outrage on that? Where is the UN watching over that situation? Where is the International Court issuing arrest warrants? It's not happening there. And Assad, he is now free. He's living in Russia. I assume he took all his money with him, so he's a billionaire now in Russia. Where is the outrage on that? You have 100,000 dead people buried in trenches, all because of a torture regime, and he gets to walk free. At the same time, the UN condemns Israel for saying, UNRWA, you don't have any right here anymore. We are tired of you employing terrorists. People in getting your paycheck were part of the October 7th massacre. You've been teaching your children rage and hate against Jews. You've been teaching them that the best thing they can do with their lives is die in this struggle. We don't want you in our borders anymore. What sovereign nation doesn't have the right to do that? To say, no, you don't get to teach that hatred within our own borders. Again, truth has stood on its head, and I don't understand Norway. I don't understand Ireland. Please, let's stand with the righteous. Let's stand with this righteous cause and say, no, you don't get to do this anymore.